Welcome to Sensible Health Solutions, the show where we simplify health and wellness. Join your hosts, Hallie Fields and Dr. Scott Luper, as they share practical tips and expert insight to help you navigate common ailments, nutrition, and overall well-being. Tune in for straightforward advice that empowers you to live a healthier life.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to Health Talk. My name is Hallie Fields, and I'm your host today as we talk about health, how to get it, and how to keep it. With me, as always, is Dr. Scott Luper. Dr. Luper is a naturopathic doctor, and today we are talking about how to get healthy. How are you, Dr. Luper?
Doing good. I'm warming up.
Yeah, we all are. We just experienced quite a cold snap.
Yeah, I got trapped at the airport. I plugged my car in, knowing full well it was going to be below 40, I don't know, it was 45 below, something like that when I got back. And I must have got unlucky to hit the one plug-in that was dead. And I didn't check to make sure the little light was on because I plugged it in the daytime. And anyways.
You trusted.
Good news for me is I have the ability to sleep in public.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a superpower. I could lay down on a couch or a bench.
I cannot do that.
With people walking around me and I fall asleep. It's by clean conscience, I think.
Maybe.
I use that superpower at the airport. Eventually, I stole a taxi. Anyways, I shouldn't tell all these things on the radio. I'm a nut. Yeah, I'm doing good. Warming up.
Yeah. Well, happy to hear. Happy that we're out of that 45
Hey, I
below.
got an idea what we could talk about today.
Oh, sure.
Let me do a little explanation. We have a general medical practice, right? We just basically treat whoever walks in the door. We have an area of expertise in digestive stuff. Just because I do so much of it, not because, anything other than just experience, really, knowing how to solve digestive problems. But one of the things that we do a lot of is help with the treatment of cancer. Mm-hmm. We have a fair number of cancer patients coming in, a few every week for sure. And it's not like we treat cancer ourselves. I don't put people on chemotherapy. I don't do injections or radiation, none of those things. And it's not my job. I don't see my job as that way. My job really is to help with the cancer treatment because cancer treatment ends up mostly making people really, really, really sick. In fact, you can get so sick that you can't continue doing the cancer treatment, that you have to quit. And I know from the research and also from common sense that if you have to quit your cancer treatment halfway through, the chances of that cancer treatment working goes down. Yeah,
right.
Duh.
Right.
So a lot of times what hurts people isn't necessarily the cancer treatment. It's the side effects on the normal cells, particularly the digestive cells. So because we do a lot of stuff with digestive systems, this business has come to me because people know that we know how to solve digestive problems. So let me talk a little bit about this and also talk about how the treatments that we've been helping with have got more sophisticated over the years. I keep learning new things, and I keep trying new things, and by golly, we've been doing some really, really good work, and I'm proud of it, and I want to tell everybody about what we're doing. So here's what we do to begin with, and this is common sense. When you get cancer treatment, chemo and or radiation, it really focuses on killing those rapidly dividing cells in your body. That is the cancer cells. Mm-hmm. But there are other rapidly dividing cells in your body that often take a hit from the cancer treatment. Those cells, let me ask you, which cells? Do you know which cells are rapidly dividing?
The white cells.
That's true. White cells. They are rapidly dividing. You get lots of new white blood cells, particularly the neutrophils. Mm-hmm. What else?
Oh, goodness. The lymphomic cells?
It's white cells again.
The white cells, okay.
So you think about this is not that hard of a question to answer because if you think about what do our patients get when they get sick? They get diarrhea, constipation, stomach problems, weight loss, right? Their hair falls out, stuff like that. So the digestive system is lined with rapidly dividing cells. It's the fastest dividing cells in your body are the ones that line your digestive system. That entire lining of your digestive system, which is extensive. I mean, if you spread it all out, it's half a tennis court worth of epithelium. That is replaced every 3 days.
Wow.
So the part that's close to the center of the digestive system, it's a tube, and then the stuff in the middle, that is what's being recycled. So that third is completely recycled every day. And then the next third moves out towards the tip, and the next day that third gets recycled. And then the one behind that moves out towards the tip, it's these finger-like projections, and the cells kind of march along towards the tip. When they get to the tip, they commit suicide. They fall apart. And so their lifespan from the beginning, where they were first formed, to the end, where they die at the tip, is about 3 days. So there's a huge turnover in cells. Now, if you're going through chemo, those cells are targeted by the chemo because they're rapidly dividing, and so they tend to be injured more than most cells. So your digestive system tends to fall apart. Now, you have to be careful when we talk about chemotherapy, because chemotherapy is not one thing. It's lots of things. It's hundreds of things, right? Some of them are really bad on your digestive system, and some hardly touch your digestive system at all. So the more common ones, those are the ones we're talking about. The ones that you get for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or colon cancer, those kinds of ones, those are the ones that really hurt your digestive system. So the digestive system tends to fall apart. Now, there's things that you can do that can help rebuild your digestive system, or even better yet, prevent it from falling apart to begin with. Now, let me give you a list of some of these things. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail about exactly what to do, because I don't necessarily want to treat anybody's cancer over the radio, right? We're just talking here. That's all. We're just talking here. So the kind of things that are helpful to keep your digestive system in good repair, one of them is glutamine, otherwise known as L-glutamine. L-glutamine is an amino acid, and it's a preferred source of energy for the cells that line your small intestine, which is the most important part of your digestive system. That's where all the absorption of nutrients takes place. And so it's a key part of the digestive system that really needs to be kept in good repair, because if it breaks down, you can't absorb any nutrients. At that point, you're not long for the planet. You're starving to death, right? Right. So the glutamine helps keep that section, other sections to a lesser degree, but that section in particular helps keep it healthy and vibrant, and helps those cells, even the ones that are being killed by the chemo and the radiation, it helps get new replacements online right away so that all the gaps get filled and that you're able to function.
Right. You're able to absorb some nutrients.
Yeah, and so you feel better. You're less chance of you getting a stomach ache, less chance you get nausea, less chance you getting diarrhea, less chance you getting constipation, less chance you losing weight. Everything moves in the right direction by doing this. Turns out to be super, super, super helpful. Now, there's a lot of other things you could think of if you just think for a moment of ways you could help people's digestive systems stay healthy. For example, you could take digestive enzymes. That way, no matter what was going on in your digestive system, you're still digesting your food because the enzymes are doing the work for you.
Or chia seeds.
Chia seeds are fabulous because chia seeds act like glutamine, the glutamine for the lower intestine. The thing that the lower intestine wants and needs more than anything else to run the systems are short-chain fatty acids. If we can get short-chain fatty acids into your lower intestine, then we can keep the lower intestine happy and healthy. Now, you think, why don't we just take short-chain fatty acids in pill form? But it won't get to your lower intestine because the cells above it like them too, and they'll simply eat them up. They simply use them. So the only way to get short-chain fatty acids into your lower intestine is either to do a retention enema of short-chain fatty acids. Yeah, that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to, but, I mean, otherwise, is there a simpler way? Can we, right? The retention enema things, So the answer is, yeah, there is. If we have you take chia seeds, and we depend on the healthy microflora that you have in your gut already, at least some, then the microflora, the healthy bacteria, like the soluble fiber that coats the chia seeds, and so they prosper. And they also like the anti-inflammatory oils in the chia seeds. They also like the fact we mix it with anthocyanins.
Right. When you suggest people soak it in a purple juice.
Yeah, purple juice. So the purple part of the juice, that's the anthocyanins, they help with the chemotherapy in lots of ways. They help keep the cells healthier, and so that they're able to take a little hit from the chemo and not die. And they help the cells that are damaged, or that the DNA has been damaged, the cancer cells, in other words, they help those cancer cells commit suicide better. Because what the chemo does, you think it kills the cancer. It doesn't. I know it does in a way, but not specifically. It does not specifically kill the cancer. What it does is it damages the cancer in such a way that the cancer kills itself. Now you think, well, this is semantics. It's not really, because if you're killing cancer cells, you're killing normal cells. Mm-hmm. Because they are both susceptible to being killed by the same stuff. You take arsenic or cyanide, they're all going to die, right?
Right.
Cancer or otherwise. Mm-hmm. But if you take a chemo, what the chemo does is it damages all the cells, but the normal cells can take it. They can repair that damage and continue on. Whereas the cancer cells, it's just enough damage to tip the balance towards them having a program that turns on the suicide committing thing. Mm. It's called apoptosis. It's got a fancy name to it, but really it's a self-destruct program. Huh. Normal cells have this. Normal cells have to self-destruct. We think of all those white blood cells that get created to make antibodies, but you hardly use any of them. You get 1 in a million or 1 in a billion. You actually make antibodies out. The rest of them are coding for antibodies that we don't need. Antibodies to stuff that we never get exposed to. I don't know if you know that's how the immune system works. We have it in us. White blood cells that can make an antibody to nearly anything.
Right.
Because we have billions of them. Mm-hmm. But we don't get exposed to everything. We only get exposed to the odd thing, some kind of bug or whatever. And like coronavirus, let me give that example. We've never seen coronavirus before, but that doesn't mean that our white blood cells don't have an antibody against it, because we have an antibody against everything. It's just 1 in a billion. The trick is getting that one to turn on and make millions of other white blood cells that are exactly the same kind that crank out of this particular antibody. And you can, it just takes a while to do it. But anyways, the ones that don't get used, what happens to those cells? They just hang around? No. They commit suicide. They say, we're done. And boop, they go offline.
Yeah.
And now if the cells just explode or die, you got a bunch of dead cells laying around. There's a name for that. It's called rot. Huh? You take a piece of meat, and then you leave it around, it rots.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we are. We're meat. And so if we have a lot of us are as dead, we're rotting. Yeah, this is a bad idea. I don't recommend it. And our body doesn't do that. What it does instead is when the cells die, they break up into these little cellets, these tiny little cells, little packages of dead cell. And they're packaged for the white blood cell eating pleasure. Oh. The white blood cells come in and snack them up. And it's all clean and non-inflammatory and fabulous. And that's the way the whole system is designed to work. So this apoptosis turns out to be key in the treatment of cancer. You want to, if your cancer is working, because apoptosis is working. That's the whole thing. If you get the apoptosis working better, then everything works better. So that's a lot of what we do, too, is trying to get the apoptosis working better. And that's kind of be the second half of my talk here. But let's go back to stay on the first half. The first half of the talk is people come in with cancer and they're sick from the cancer treatment. How do we keep them healthy so they can keep on doing their cancer treatment? Seriously, that is it. I don't want anybody to have to quit cancer treatment. I want you to do the whole program, because the chances of it working is way better if you can finish, if you can get to the end. So what we're going to do is keep you healthy. So how do we do that? We look at the different parts of your body that are susceptible to damage from the chemotherapy. Your digestive system is the most important, but it's just one. There are other parts.
The immune system?
Immune system's another one. And your nerves, the nervous system is another one. And if the nervous system goes bad, it really goes bad. Because what happens is you get neuropathy. You get peripheral neuropathy. It tends to affect your feet mostly and your hands. And your feet and hands go numb, except for they don't go numb for touching anything, but they're not one bit numb when it feels like your hands are on fire or your feet are being poked with a million needles all at once, right? Yeah, this is the kind of thing that'll really take away the joy of life where you're just in hellish misery. And literally the oncologists, they won't tolerate it. They'll stop. You start getting these kind of symptoms, we're done.
Oh, no.
We're stopping. Yeah, we're done. We're not doing this anymore because we can't. We cannot torture our patients like that. The cancer folks around here are good.
Yeah.
They really are. They know what they're doing. They're smart. They're on top of stuff. I really hold them in high regard. They're excellent. We were lucky to have them here in Fairbanks. Just let me put it that way. We're just lucky to have them. But they can't do everything. They're busy. They're busy doing the chemotherapy, busy learning all the stuff because chemotherapy is changing all the time. And there's all these things. They're not in the Southlands. The oncologists can specialize. They can become an expert in lymphoma. They can become an expert in colon cancer. They can know everything about lymphoma or colon cancer or glioblastoma or whatever. Yeah, but not here in Fairbanks. Our oncologists are generalists. They have to know about everything.
Every kind of cancer.
You can make a career at one of those cancers.
Absolutely.
Seriously, and fill your brain up completely to where it's full, right? And then they have to know all this other stuff. So God bless them for doing the work they do. They're working hard. So they don't really have the bandwidth to do this extra work. They try. They do what they can. They have some ideas about stuff. But we, that's you and me, really dive deeper into this because we don't have to worry about the chemotherapy. We have plenty of bandwidth to solve all these problems. Not only that, it's the same stuff that we're doing for everybody already anyways, more or less. There's some differences with cancer. The main difference is whatever we do cannot get in the way of the chemo.
Right.
That, heaven forbid, that is absolutely what we will not do is save your cancer from the chemo. And you can do it. There's a bunch of things you could take that will literally save your cancer cells so the chemo won't work. Yeah, none of that. We weren't going to do any of those things. So there's some technicality here. But really, it's knowing what kind of things you can take that are going to decrease the chances that the chemotherapy is going to damage that part of your body. So let me give an example. One of the things that you can take to prevent peripheral neuropathy is alpha-lipoic acid. It has an affinity for nervous tissue. It's used to treat peripheral neuropathy secondary to diabetes, for example. I mean, other kinds of peripheral neuropathy, it's helpful as well. So it's one of the things that it's useful to do. Another thing that you can do is improve circulation in your hands and feet so that they heal better. One of the kind of simple treatments we do, simple in terms of not easy to do necessarily, but easy to understand, is doing hydrotherapy. I have patients, particularly if they're susceptible to this neuropathy, is put their hands and feet into hot water and then into cold water and then into hot water and then into cold water. We've talked about it on previous shows, how it works. And what it does is improve circulation.
Right.
And so the healing is better. Oxygenation is better.
Blood flow.
The whole process of fixing the nerves is better. Now, the interesting thing about that, though, is if you can decrease blood flow while you're getting the chemo, literally while the chemo is going into your veins, then you can decrease the chances that you're going to have a problem with peripheral neuropathy. So how can you, you've never heard this before, how can you decrease blood flow?
Oh, boy.
Do you know a way to decreasing blood flow? Yeah, you put your hands in cold water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it'll cause the blood vessels to squinch down tight, turn your hands white. So if you're doing chemo, you could put your hands or your feet or both of them into cold water or ice packs or something like that, where you get them cold, and then your chance of getting peripheral neuropathy goes down.
For the duration of
the
just
treatment? During the chemo.
Okay.
Literally while the chemo's flowing through your veins. And so then the chemo, eventually is going to get all picked up by the cells. Once that happens, you're free and clear.
Wow.
Interesting, isn't
Very,
it?
yeah.
And it's not stuff we're making up. It's just like in the world, one of the things that you can do. Okay? Again, there's more stuff to talk about. There's some people get heart disease from the chemo. Adriamycin, for example, is one that tends to do that, and so on and so forth. Different parts of your body are affected by different kinds of chemo in different ways. Your hair loss is another one.
Right.
So what we do is we do as many things as we can to keep those parts of your body healthy so you can continue on and do the tolerate the chemo. Excellent. We've made really a career in a way of helping people do this. We've done it over and over and over for years and years and years and years and helped a zillion different people. But there's a new thing to consider, which is once you're done with the chemo, we want to make sure that all the cells are either the cancer cells are dead, or if they're not, they never get any traction and they never grow back. If you have the odd cancer cell around here in a quiet corner of your body, who cares? It doesn't do anything, right? As long as it never grows and never causes any trouble, we don't care. So what we want to do is we want to be able to starve the cancer. And we've known this for a long time, that cancer metabolism is different than regular cells. It's kind of loosey-goosey. It doesn't work quite right. And cancer basically runs on sugar. Now, cancer is not one thing. There's lots of different cancers. There's some exceptions to what I'm telling you. But the general rule is cancer cells run on sugar. They need glucose to run their metabolism. And they don't really burn it that efficiently. And so they need lots of glucose all the time. So one of the ways that you can decrease the chances of cancer ever growing back or even just dying on its own is to starve it of sugar. Now, this sounds lovely, except for we run on sugar.
Right. I get so angry without sugar.
Yeah, it's part of our system. We run in glucose, or we have a glucose system. Now, if you're starving to death and your body's absolutely desperate and it has to run on something else, it can. It can run on ketones. So you can go into ketosis. This is the keto diet, right? It forces you into ketosis and you lose weight because you're starving, but you're not actually starving because you're getting calories in, except for none of these calories have any sugar in them whatsoever. You know, people in ketosis live on protein and fat, right? And some rare vegetables that have no carbs in them whatsoever, and mostly protein and fat.
Mostly protein.
So there,
and fat.
you could do a keto diet, and people have done it. I've done it. Actually, I've done it with patients and had patients do very well and survive. Now, it's hard to take cancer patients and put them into ketosis because the cancer makes it to where your body will fight going into ketosis, and you're much more likely to find sugar somewhere, in some kind of little quiet corner in your body where it pulls it out of storage or something, and you won't go into ketosis. This is more technical than I need to go through the radio. Let me keep the simple picture here is sugar is bad for cancer.
Sugar is bad.
If you can lower your blood sugars, then you are giving less material for the cancer to run its metabolism on. You're starving your cancer. Your regular cells can take it, but the cancer cells can't. It's kind of like chemo. Your regular cells can live on less sugar, but the cancer can't because it's got this weird metabolism. And so what will happen is your cancer cells will die, or that's at best. At worst, they don't grow as fast or at all. That's useful. This is a useful thing. Now, here's the rub on this. The rub is cancer is part of your body, at least initially. It was comes out of the same stuff that you are. So it has all kinds of tricks that it can do. It could pull all these tricks out of its pocket. There's no pocket, but kind of, right? Like that. Anyways, and one of the tricks is it could shift its metabolism. It could start running on glutamine. Remember I told you the cells that line your small intestine love glutamine. They run their metabolism on glutamine. It's their favorite thing. Cancer can do that.
So it's like, hey, I see it's doing that over there. Let me do that.
Yeah, no, this is tricky because remember I was telling you the thing to do to keep your digestive system healthy, one of the things out of 50, is to take glutamine. But now I'm saying glutamine's the thing that can grow your cancer.
So which is it?
How? It's both. When the chemo hot and heavy, you need that glutamine to keep your digestive system healthy. Otherwise, you run the risk of having to bail on the chemo. So we're just pulling all the stops out to get through it, okay? But once the chemo is over, you need to stop that glutamine, and you need to starve the cancer. So you need to block really 3 kinds of metabolism. You need to block sugar metabolism, glutamine metabolism, and fatty acid metabolism. There's 3 ways cancer can live. If you can block all 3 of those, you can starve your cancer. Not even necessarily block them all at the same time. If we could run tests to figure out exactly what kind of metabolism your cancer is running on, and we're beginning to be able to do that, you can block sugar metabolism, and then if it shifts, you can block glutamine or fatty acid metabolism later. Now, right now, the technology is not quite there. In research labs, it is, but not for regular doctors like me out on the street doing this kind of work. So what we end up having to do is end up having to block metabolism, all three metabolisms at the same time. Now, the good news is there's some stuff in the world that will do that. It'll block all three. Now, we don't have enough time here in the last 5 minutes for me to go through all the different treatments, and there's really scores of them that you can do, but we have enough time to go through a few of them. Let me give you an example of one that will cover all three. It's berberine. Berberine is a molecule that's made by plants, and what the berberine does is it acts kind of like diabetes drugs. There's a medication called metformin that lowers insulin resistance and really helps with people with diabetes. And berberine is the natural version of metformin. It does about the same kind of thing, about the same intensity that metformin does. It also, that's for blood sugar. It also blocks fatty acid metabolism, and it blocks glutamine metabolism. It basically just slows down metabolism across the board. So if you take berberine, which you can actually buy berberine, they can concentrate it into pills. You can get it, like where you'd get herbal stuff or supplements. But the thing that it comes from, the main plant that it comes from is Oregon grape, Mahonia. Which you use all the time because we have a zillion people on Mahonia because it's a common problem. Helps with weight loss, helps with diabetes, helps with blood sugar control, helps with cancer, blood sugar control, same thing. So you put people on Mahonia and it helps. It helps starve the cancer. Okay? There's bunches and bunches and bunches more of stuff that
Is this a part 2?
Yeah, I'm not sure we could do a part 2. Let me just summarize the main points here, which is if you have cancer, you need to get it treated. There's really, really good treatments out there. So chemo's got a bad rap because it makes people so sick. But if you can come up with a plan that gets the full effect of the chemo to kill the cancer, and yet you hang together nicely, you're able to go through the whole treatment and you're in good shape, right? You say, I feel pretty good. I'm doing my life. That's the objective. So we know ways to keep you healthy while you go through this thing.
Yep.
Okay, number one. Number two is when chemo is over, then it's just a waiting game to see, is the cancer going to come back? And the chance is not 100% it's going to come back, and it's not 0% it's going to come back. There's a low percentage or a higher percentage that's going to come back depending on what kind of cancer it is. Some cancers come back so much that we just know they're all going to come back. And so what we need to do is do everything we can to starve the cancer. This is the new thing. This is a thing that the research is really blowing up about right now. There's more and more and more kinds of things that you can do to block that metabolism, block the metabolism, come back. Let me give you another example, one more example before I go. The fatty acid metabolism, I talked about that, fatty acids. Well, it turns out there's a cheap drug out on the market. There's a bunch of them. They're all in the category of statins. And these are cholesterol-lowering medications. And people with high cholesterol take statins. Now, there's some side effects with the statins. Not everybody's really happy with them. Not everybody can take them. Sometimes people get muscle aches with the statins. And there's some workarounds on this. If you do CoQ10 while you do it, you can block that. But the statins block fatty acid metabolism. So if you take a statin, when you're done with your chemo, the chances of you starving your cancer goes up. Now, there's a natural alternative to statins. It's what the statins were invented from. It's this yeast that grows on rice. It's called
red yeast
rice, right?
Yep.
Or red rice yeast?
Red rice
yeast. That's what it's called. Red rice yeast. And if you look at it, it turns the rice red, and it's yeast. And what it has in it has the same chemical that the statins have in it and the same side effects. I mean, it's not like it's not a statin. It is a statin. It's just the original statin. Anyways, that'll work too. You can block fatty acid metabolism with red yeast rice, for example, and other things too. Quercetin is also helpful. There's a bunch of things. Anyways, we're in our last 10 seconds here. But what an interesting subject, don't you think?
Absolutely.
You can do stuff that actually, you personally can actually engage in fighting your own cancer, not just doing the chemo, but doing stuff like in your life and changing things, and it helps you, gives you control to be able to fight the cancer off. That is cool.
Wicked cool. Thank you. Appreciate it, Dr. Luper. Thank you for being here with us today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in touch.
Yeah, stay warm.
And stay warm.
Thanks, Haley.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sensible Health Solutions. We hope you found today's discussion enlightening and packed with practical tips to enhance your wellness journey. Remember, small changes can lead to big results. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content possible. Stay connected with us on social media for more health insights and updates. You can find us at Sensible Health Solutions across all social platforms. Until next time, stay sensible and stay healthy. This content is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Seek medical advice from a healthcare professional for any medical conditions.